All right, this is our video for Chapter 2, Lesson 4. This is all about the percent equation. And the percent equation solves the same type of problems that the percent proportion does. So don't expect to see something radically new here. It's just another way to solve those same type of questions. So I think you'll like it. It's a very short video for us. Let's get started. Vocab words. Our only vocab word today is percent equation. The percent equation is part equals percent times the whole. What I will do usually to shorten this is put P equals percent sign times W. Part equals percent times the whole. Remember, this solves the exact same thing as the percent proportion. It just solves it in a little bit of a different way. 2.4 notes. When using the percent equation, you first have to change the percent to decimal form. That is why some people don't like the percent equation. They don't like having to change it to a decimal. It really isn't hard. We're just going to use D2P, right? D2P. But it is something that you have to remember to do or you will get a mistake in your answer. The other thing we have to remember is if we are solving for a percent, if our x is in the percent spot, we will end up getting a decimal answer and we will have to turn it back into percent form at the very end. So this guy right here ends up being our little bit of a problem because we have to change it to a decimal before we can solve. And if we're solving for this part, we have to change to a percent at the very, very end. I will work with you on this. I will remind you, so don't stress. So I only have one practice problem for you today. Like I said, very short video. If you understand this practice problem, then you will absolutely understand the rest of them. This is number 1 from your note packet. It says, New China restaurant sold 280 lunch specials last week. 45% of those lunch specials were sold on Friday. How many lunch specials were sold on Friday? So this time, let's try to start with our diagram. 280 lunch specials last week. That was all the lunch specials they sold. 280. So that's the whole. We know that 45% of those lunch specials were sold on Friday. And they're asking us, well, what's the actual number of lunch specials sold on Friday? So we know that the 280 is our 100%, that's our whole. We know that we sold 45% of them on Friday. We're just trying to figure out, hey, what is that number sold on Friday? So we can fill out our information here. Again, I want to be writing percent part whole, and I want to make notes of the important information before I use it. The percent this time is 45%. Now remember what I said about the percent. We need to change that to a decimal right away. So when I write down my percent, the first thing I do is I immediately change it to decimal form. So I get that kind of done. I can stop worrying about it and stop worrying that I'll forget it. So my decimal is 0.45. The part is the unknown here. That's the part that's sold on Friday. I do not know how many were sold on Friday. That's what we hope to figure out. The whole is all of the lunch specials. All of the lunch specials, all 280 that they sold last week. Just in case you want to check that with our percent of the whole check here. Here's our word percent of the lunch specials. So all of the lunch specials are the whole. That's how my 280 became the whole, and that's how Friday became the part. Okay, so the difference here is that we're not doing the proportion. If you do the proportion to solve this, you're not actually doing what needs to be done in this lesson. We are going to instead put it into the equation part equals percent times the whole. Okay, so no proportion this time. We're going to use the equation instead. So x is my part. The percent is 45 hundredths. And the whole is 280. Okay, so Remember, our goal is to always get the variable isolated. Well, this time our variable is all by itself. It's already isolated. So that means that all we have to do is simplify what's going on over here on the right-hand side of my equation. So you're going to have to use some scratch paper, or you can just use a calculator. That's what I'm going to do really fast. I need to figure out what 45 hundredths times 280 is. I'm putting that in my calculator. 45 hundredths times 280 is equal to 126. Remember, bring down the x. It's already isolated. We did not have to do any division here. We just had to finish up the math on the right-hand side. It was pretty quick for us. So 126 is that number of lunch specials sold on Friday. 126. Okay? This is really, really easy. It's very fast. It's the same type of idea as cross multiplying, but instead we're already doing half the math for you. You just have to figure out if you need to multiply to finish or divide to finish. This is the type of problem where you'll have to multiply to finish because the x is already by itself. You just have to simplify the other side. I'm going to show you one more quick thing. If you end up with an equation that looks like this, 3 equals 0.5x. So that would be a situation where the part was 3, the percent was 50%, and we are looking for the whole. Remember, if you want to solve that type of problem, you have to get the variable all by itself. So to do that, we want to use division. We want to divide by that 5/10 in order to get the x all by itself. We're going to balance it out on the other side. 5/10 divided by 5/10 is 1, so we're left with 1x. And 3 divided by 5/10 is 6. You can check my math if you want, but that is what that would be. So in this case, the whole, the number here in the whole spot, would have been 6. So you will see one like that. I believe number 2 needs a little bit of division. It's okay that your variable ends up on the other side. Just remember, to get rid of the number in front of the variable, we have to divide both sides by that number. Okay, so you're going to finish up the rest of your 2.4 practice problems. I don't think there are very many of them. I think you have number 2, number 3, and number 4. When you are finished, update your flashcards. New vocab is percent equation. When you are ready, we have Chapter 2, Quiz 2, ready to go for you. And then after that, you can move on to 2.5.